So there's at least two realities that we may face. There might be a reality that is graspable for us, and then there might be a different reality that we can talk about, we can kind of discuss, but it will never fully reveal itself to us. So the second one, that is everything regarding logic, regarding mathematics, regarding ethics. So these are things that we can strive towards, but we will never know whether we have a shared, united understanding about these things. What I want to talk about here is the empirical reality that we all subjectively can somewhat endure and that we can think about. And what's important is, how do we call this? How do we call this what is hitting us? What we see, what we observe, what we investigate, what we research, all these different things. There's really no united word, but the word that we should use, I think, is data. And the word that some people use that we shouldn't use is information. Because information is already filtered. You cannot really have information that is useless. Any information that is information already has a value, whether that is like noise, whether that it's like wrong information, whether it's kind of like biased, or like all sorts of problems with it. So this already calls for some human perspective, for some interpretation, for some higher conscious process about what we do with information. Whereas data can be raw, data can be noisy, data can be problematic, data can be biased, like all these things. But in a sense, data is just how it is. It's nothing that we did anything to, but it's the full data that is hitting us, and then it's us interpreting it that makes it into information, that makes it into what some people would call good or bad information, or right or wrong, or biased and unbiased, and so on. So data can be lots of things. When people think of data, they usually think of computers, they think of numbers, they think about all these things. But what I would proclaim what data is, and suggest how we should use the term, is data can also be paintings. Data can be ethnographic observation. Data can be a record of a speech, of a talk, of an interview. All these things can be data. All sorts of observations, archaeological artifacts. So all these things can be data, and what we do with it is information. And that is an important difference, because information is somewhat blurry when you look at the methodological hemisphere. Information can be what we analyzed, so this can be patterns or mechanisms. Information can be what we interpret, so that's very often the case, that information is something that's already been boiled down to the essentials. But information can also be the raw information that we somewhat get, but we still have a perspective on it. So, and that's why data is so much better, because data, it should be, as I proposed, in the information be in the raw form. So that's like unbiased, uninfluenced, uninterpreted, unanalyzed. So there's nothing derived out of it. It's just the information as it presents itself. And that's a very, very important kind of like distinguished definition of what we do as empirical scientists. First of all, we get data.